I have spent most of my life studying why traders lose. Not the ones who are new, not the ones who just opened their first account. I mean the ones who have been trading for years. The ones who have read the books, attended the courses, built the systems. The ones who should know better. And still, they give money back to the market over and over again in the same ways. I started asking a different question. Not what are they doing wrong, but why do they keep doing it even when they know it is wrong? The answer is always the same. The market is not their problem. Their mind is. You see, the market does not care about you. It has no memory of your last trade. It does not know if you are up or down for the week. It is not out to get you, and it is not trying to reward you. It is just a flow of information. Prices move, opportunities appear and disappear. That is all it is. But your mind is not neutral. Your mind carries everything. Every bad trade you have ever made. Every time you watched a winner turn into a loser. Every time you held too long or exited too soon. Every time you broke your own rules and paid for it. That emotional weight lives inside you, and it follows you into every single trade you take. The market does not have an opinion about your position, but your mind does. And that opinion usually shows up at exactly the wrong moment. Let me walk you through the specific ways that the mind destroys good trading. The first one is what I call confirmation bias. When a trader enters a position, something happens almost immediately. The mind starts looking for reasons that the trade is right. Not because the trader is dishonest, but because the human brain does not like uncertainty. It wants to feel certain. It wants to feel safe. So the trader starts reading the market selectively. Good price action gets noticed. Anything that suggests the trade might be wrong gets ignored or explained away. The trader finds 3 reasons the move is still coming. They move down to a smaller time frame to find a pattern that supports them. They tell themselves the market just needs more time. Meanwhile, the trade is losing, and the mind is busy building a case for why it should not be. This is one of the most dangerous things that can happen in a trade. Not because the trader is weak, but because it feels completely rational when it is happening. The bias is invisible from the inside. The second trap is the fear of missing out. You know exactly what I am talking about. A stock starts moving, hard, fast. You were not in it, and now it has already gone up 15–20%. Your rational mind says the move is probably over, but something else kicks in. You start watching the momentum. You tell yourself it could go further. You find reasons why it is not too late, and you chase it. You buy near the top. The move exhausts. Price reverses, and now you are sitting in a loss on a trade you were not even planning to take. FOMO is not really about missing the trade. It's about what missing the trade makes you feel. It feels like failure, like you should have seen it coming, like everyone else is making money and you are standing on the outside. And to make that feeling go away, the mind pushes you to act, even when acting is exactly the wrong thing to do. The third trap is revenge trading, and this one is the fastest way to destroy an account in a single day. A trader takes a loss, not a small one, a real loss, one that stings. And instead of stepping back, the mind says, get it back, right now, in the next trade. So the trader sizes up, abandons their rules, looks for a setup that is not really there, and takes a low-quality trade with too much risk, which loses again. And now the hole is twice as deep. Revenge trading is not about trading at all. It is about emotion. The trader is not trying to find a good opportunity. They are trying to undo the pain of the last loss, and the market does not give back losses just because you want it to. It has no interest in making you whole. So the trader chases recovery, and the market simply continues doing what it was going to do anyway. The fourth trap is overconfidence after a winning streak. A trader has a good week, 5 winning trades in a row. The account is up, and a feeling starts growing that is very dangerous. The feeling that you have figured it out, that the market is readable now, that your edge is stronger than it actually is. The trader starts sizing up without a proper reason, starts taking trades that are slightly outside the system because confidence says the outcome will be the same, starts holding positions longer than the rules allow because the mind is sure of where price is going. And then one bad trade wipes out 3 good ones, and the trader cannot understand it. They were on such a good run. A winning streak is just a statistical outcome. It does not mean you have unlocked the market. It does not mean the next trade is more likely to win because the last 5 did. Overconfidence is a sign that the trader has started to believe they can predict outcomes, and that belief is the beginning of a very expensive lesson. The 5th trap is hesitation after a loss. This is the opposite problem. After a painful trade, the mind becomes protective. It does not want to feel that again. So when the next valid setup appears, the trader stalls. They wait for more confirmation. They need to be more sure. They miss the entry. The trade moves without them. Now they are frustrated again, but for a different reason. They are not losing money, they are leaving it behind. And after watching a few good setups go by without them, the anxiety builds again, which usually leads to taking a bad trade just to feel like they are participating. The cycle continues. Fear after a loss, FOMO after missing the move, bad trade to relieve the anxiety, loss again. And the mind keeps running in circles while the account slowly drains. These are not character flaws. They are not signs that a trader should give up. They are deeply human responses to uncertainty and pain, and the only way through them is to understand exactly why they happen. Here's the part that surprises most people. Time in the markets does not cure these problems. I have seen traders with 10 years of experience still making the same emotional mistakes they made in their first year, because experience alone does not change the beliefs and associations living in the mind. It just gives the mind more ammunition. A trader with 10 years of losses has 10 years of emotional memory attached to trading. That is not wisdom. That is a collection of wounds. And those wounds do not disappear because the trader has been doing it longer. They get reinforced. The mind learns from experience, but it learns emotionally, not logically. You can read every book ever written about discipline. You can know every rule, and still, in the heat of the moment, the emotional response overrides the intellectual understanding. The body feels something, and the mind follows the feeling rather than the plan. This is why knowledge is not enough. Information alone will not make you a better trader. You can know that revenge trading is destructive and still do it in the moment. You can know that overconfidence leads to oversizing and still press your luck after a winning streak. Knowing and doing are 2 completely different things, and the gap between them is where most trading accounts go to die. What actually creates change is the systematic transformation of the beliefs you hold about uncertainty, risk, and outcomes. And that transformation does not come from reading. It comes from deliberate, structured mental work over time. I want you to think about a casino for a moment. The casino does not know the outcome of the next hand. It does not know if the roulette wheel will land on red or black. It does not have any ability to predict what any individual player will do. And yet, the casino makes money, consistently, every day, without exception. How? Because the casino thinks in probabilities. It knows that over a large enough number of events, the edge built into every game will produce a predictable outcome. It does not need to win every hand. It needs the law of large numbers to work in its favor. And it does, every single time. That is how professional traders think about their edge. Every trade you take is a unique event. The outcome of this one trade tells you almost nothing about the quality of your strategy. One loss does not mean your edge is broken. 5 losses in a row does not mean your strategy has stopped working. It might just mean you are in the statistical variance that every strategy carries. Even a great strategy with a 60% win rate will produce strings of 5 or 6 losses. That is mathematics, not failure. But the mind does not experience it as mathematics. It experiences it as threat, as danger, as evidence that something is wrong,
and then it reacts accordingly. When you truly accept that any single trade can go either way, and I mean truly accept it, not just say it, then something fundamental changes in how you approach the market. You stop needing any particular trade to work. You stop needing to be right. You start executing your edge patiently, consistently, and without emotional interference, because you understand that your job is not to win this trade. Your job is to execute this trade well and let the probabilities unfold across many trades over time. The outcome of one trade is essentially random within the framework of your edge, but the outcome of 100 trades executed consistently reflects the actual quality of your strategy. That shift in perspective from thinking about this trade to thinking about this series of trades is one of the most powerful changes a trader can make.
Understanding probabilities is the foundation, but it is not enough on its own. A professional trader also builds a structure that protects their decisions from their emotions. Let me describe what that structure looks like in practice. Before the market opens, the professional trader sits down with a plan. Not during the session, not while prices are moving, before. When the mind is calm, when there is no money at risk and no emotional pressure. In that pre-market session, they identify the conditions under which they will trade today. What setups qualify? What price levels are significant? How much they are willing to risk per trade? What their maximum loss for the day will be, and what would tell them the trade is wrong. All of this is decided in advance, so that when the moment arrives inside the session, the trader is not making decisions. They are executing a plan that was made by a calm, rational version of themselves. This matters more than most people realize. The person who makes decisions under emotional pressure is a different version of you than the person who plans in a quiet room before the market opens. Pre-market planning is the act of letting your rational self guide your emotional self. It is one of the most important habits a trader can build. The second piece of structure is the trading journal. Not a journal about your trades, a journal about yourself, about what you were thinking and feeling during each trade, what made you hesitate, what made you exit early, what made you hold too long, what the fear felt like and what thought preceded it, what triggered the impulse to chase. Most traders track price. They look at charts after the session and analyze what happened technically. But the journal I am describing tracks you, because over time, patterns will emerge. You will start to notice that you make your worst decisions in the first 30 minutes of the session when you are still emotionally wound up from pre-market news, or that you tend to revenge trade after your second loss, not your first, or that overconfidence reliably appears after a 3-trade winning streak. These patterns are invisible to the untrained eye, but the journal reveals them. And once you can see them clearly, you can put structures in place to interrupt them. The third piece of structure is limiting your risk exposure. This means knowing, before you ever take a trade, exactly how much of your capital is at risk. Not approximately, exactly. Because undefined risk creates anxiety, and anxiety creates bad decisions. It also means setting a daily loss limit and honoring it without exception. If your account is down 2% on the day, the session is over. Not because you cannot think of any more trades to take, but because losing days create emotional states that lead to more losing. The disciplined trader knows when to stop, and they stop before the emotion makes the decision for them. It also means limiting the number of trades per day, because more trades does not mean more opportunity. It often means more noise, more variance, and more chances for the emotional mind to get involved. Many professional traders take very few setups. They wait for the clearest, highest quality conditions, and when those conditions appear, they execute fully and cleanly. The system is not there to restrict you. It is there to protect you from the version of yourself that appears when money is at stake and the mind starts feeling pressure. Think about how an elite athlete prepares. A top tennis player does not simply show up and play matches. They drill specific movements thousands of times until those movements become automatic. They work with coaches to identify the emotional responses they have under pressure. They study their own tendencies. They practice staying present when they are down in a set. They rehearse their routines before they perform them. The game happens in the mind as much as it happens on the court. Trading is no different. The emotional state you bring into a trade affects every decision you make. Whether you are calm or anxious, confident or fearful, patient or desperate, it all shapes how you see the market and what actions you take. And unlike athletic movements, you cannot practice emotional discipline just by taking more trades. You have to train it deliberately. That means working with your journal every day, not just recording trades, but studying the emotional narrative. It means building rituals before the session that bring you into a calm, focused state. It means reviewing your worst trades not to beat yourself up, but to understand exactly what triggered the behavior and how to interrupt that trigger next time. It means treating consistency not as a performance goal, but as a process goal. A professional does not measure success by whether the trade won or lost. They measure it by whether the trade was executed according to the plan. A well-executed losing trade is a success. A poorly executed winning trade is a failure waiting to repeat itself. This reframe is difficult at first because everything in trading culture rewards outcomes. People celebrate winners. Nobody celebrates a disciplined loss. But the traders who survive long-term are the ones who learn to measure themselves by the quality of their process, not the outcome of any given trade. Over time, if you execute your edge consistently and manage your risk properly, the outcomes take care of themselves. Not on any particular day, but across many trades, across many sessions, across many months. That is the only way it works. Let me leave you with something I have believed for a long time. Most traders spend their careers trying to figure out the market. They build better indicators. They find better setups. They look for the pattern that will finally give them an edge that feels certain. They are searching for a way to remove the uncertainty from trading, to find a method that tells them with confidence what is going to happen next. But that certainty does not exist, and the search for it is itself the problem. The market is uncertain. Every trade is uncertain. The professional trader does not conquer that uncertainty. They make peace with it. They accept it completely. And that acceptance becomes the source of their edge because it allows them to execute without the emotional interference that destroys most traders. You do not need to be right. You need to be consistent. You do not need to predict. You need to follow your process. You do not need to win every trade. You need to let the law of large numbers work in your favor across many trades over time. Discipline is not willpower. It is not gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to follow rules. Real discipline is the natural result of genuinely believing in your edge, genuinely accepting uncertainty, and genuinely measuring yourself by how well you execute rather than by what the market happens to do after you enter. When that shift happens in your thinking, trading changes completely. It becomes quieter, calmer. The emotional swings get smaller. The decisions get cleaner. You stop fighting the market and you stop fighting yourself. That is what it means to be in the zone. Not a lucky run, not a feeling of invincibility, just a deep, steady calm. The knowledge that your job is defined, your risk is managed, and your process is sound. And whatever the market does from here, you have already done your part correctly. That is the mindset of a professional trader. That is where trading begins to work.